Hey, Shalom, Shalom, Mr. Brother Abba Yabba from the DC Church. Coming at you, giving all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bashim Yahweh Shai, Bashim Kokadash, Yahweh being the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Shai being whom the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, Bashim meaning in the name, recall meaning spirit, Kodash meaning holy. Alright, these are the names and the powers that I come to you in order to profess the 100% truth. The Lord's will seal the elect's faith. Alright. Shani Kabaga, well of Rakabs, according now by eighth, meaning double honor to the elders and apostles of GMS in these times. And Shalom, wa Barakum, Lavakarim, Shayasha, Allah, peace and blessings be upon the elect of the nation of Israel. And to the men out there that's pushing this truth and sincerity and risking their lives to do so, to you I say Shalom, wa Barakum, my thumb, and peace and blessings be upon you. Alright. Now, without further ado, Lord's will, I'll title this U.S. debt is incurable, okay? And hopefully I don't get flagged, whatever, you know, but I'll bring out this information because I really like this link because because of the graph that it has on here. But it says the U.S. debt and how it got so big, okay? So it says the U.S. debt is the sum of all outstanding debt owed by the federal government on March 1st, 2021. It surpassed $28 trillion for the first time. The U.S. Treasury Department tracks the current total public debt outstanding, and this figure changes daily. It says the debt clock in New York also tracks it. About 2/3 is debt held by the public. The government owes this to buyers of the U.S. Treasury notes, including individuals, companies, and foreign governments. It says the remaining third is intragovernmental debt. The Treasury owes this debt to its various departments that hold government account securities. It says the biggest owner in the biggest owner is Social Security. Okay, it says these government account securities have been running surpluses for years, and the federal government uses these surpluses to pay for other departments. See, so it's just they're moving debt. They're just moving debt, and it says, and they will come due as people born from 1946 to 1964 retire over the next 2 decades. It says, since Social Security and trust funds are the largest owners, they answer to as to who owns the U.S. debt. It's basically everyone's retirement money. Wow. It says, why the U.S. debt matters. It says that the national debt is greater than what America produces in a whole year. This ratio of debt to gross domestic product tells investors that the country might have a problem repaying the loan, which they definitely will. And it says that's a new and worrying occurrence for the U.S. in 1988. The debt was only half of America's economic output. It says, key takeaways. The U.S. debt is the total federal financial obligation owed to the public and intergovernment departments. Social Security is one of the United States' largest debt holders. It says U.S. debt is so big because Congress continues both deficit spending and tax cuts. It says if steps are not taken, the ability for the U.S. to pay back its debt will come into question, affecting the global economy. Right now, part of the reason why you have countries, you know, the countries that America does owe, and the countries that America is in debt to, part of the reason why they haven't invaded us or they haven't, taken action yet is because the U.S. debt is going to play a major part in the downfall of America, number one, and number two, the segue into World War III, okay? So the Heavenly Father had set this up since way back in 19 what have you, for America to fall into this debt track so that to to this very date that we're in right now, America would be in the $28 trillion worth of debt, to where it can't pay itself. It basically, the debt is unpayable. Okay, and that's exactly what America's leaning toward, because even if everybody in America were to give, let's say, $100,000, and I believe, I think you have roughly around, I want to say 300 million Americans, roughly, I could actually do that. We can do this statistical work real quick. Actually, yeah, 300 million. So, watch this. Well, obviously, 300 million. Let's do 31,000,000, right? Times 1,000,000. All right. This is a feasible amount of money that, even if we threw back into the system somehow, some way, that 300 million Americans, whether middle class, whether poor, whether rich, all threw $100,000 back into the system to pay off this debt. Okay, we still wouldn't have enough. We need 28 trillion. And to this calculation, that's roughly around I wouldn't say, if I'm not mistaken, this is really like 3 trillion, or I'd rather say, yeah, like 3 trillion. Okay, so we're still working with numbers against, I ain't gonna say we, but America's still working with numbers against it. All right, so it's coming to the point to where, and that's even unfeasible in itself, because 300 million Americans are not gonna find $100,000 just to pull out of their bare back. It's not happening. Okay, and even if all of us gave $1, we'd still have, a million more to go. But nonetheless, it's just, everything is gearing toward America, America full-fledged failing. Okay, and part of the reason why is because it's prophecy. Okay, because of course we got to go to the precepts. Let's go to Habakkuk, or Salakia, chapter 2, verse 6. It says, "Shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, Woe to him that increaseth that which is not his? How long? And to him that ladeth himself with the clay." Okay, so really, this is a debt. This debt is really what Esau had put on himself, because the thing is, and on top of that, after a certain time in our laws, a brother's supposed to be forgiven for his debt, but in this case, America is definitely not going to be forgiven for his debt, and the only way America is going to be able to pay for his debt is by fire. But Esau had been pushing away his what's the word I'm looking for? His responsibility, because what happens is, when they have debt, they just use another loan to pay off that debt, and that cycle keeps continuing. And then what happens is, when you use that loan to pay off that debt, the other debt comes with interest, and it also comes with certain charges and what have you. So that's what's putting America into that hole. Okay, and this is part of the reason why America is going into a hole that it just cannot come out of. And this is part of the reason why, I gotta grab the precepts, man. Why these nations are going to be so upset, because when America falls, they're the ones who invested in this nation. They're the one who invested in America and got rich off of it, But suddenly America's going to fall, and she's not going to be able to get back up. Okay, so let's go to Jeremiah first. Jeremiah, I believe it's 51. I think. Let me make sure. Yeah. Jeremiah 51. Actually, let's start from the top. It says, "Thus saith the Heavenly Father, Behold, I will raise up against Babylon and against them that dwell in the midst of them that rise up against me a destroying wind." Okay, and that's the thermonuclear missiles, man. Okay, and prior to this happening, the Heavenly Father we're in the midst of the setup of the destruction of Babylon. That's essentially what we're in right now, and we're witnessing that hands on. Okay, it says, "And I will also send unto Babylon fanners that shall fan her, and shall empty the land." And so, like it says, "For in the day of trouble they shall be against her round about." Okay, and that's all the nations that had invested in America. Okay, because they're upset that they're not able to profit anymore, and they're also upset. And they're also in enmity or at enmity with America because of its wickedness. Because of this during the time to where the Heavenly Father had set World War III into play. Okay, so it's gonna keep going. It says, "Against him that bendeth, let the archer bend his bow, and against him that lifteth himself up in his brigandine, and spare ye not her young men, destroy ye utterly all her host." It says, "Thus the slain shall fall in the land of the Chaldeans, and they that are thrust through in her streets. For Israel hath not seen, Salah, for Israel hath not been forsaken, nor Judah of his power." It says, "Of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Tezabah through their land was filled with sin, though their land was filled with sin against the Holy One of Israel. Flee out of the midst of Babylon, and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity. For this is the time of the Heavenly Father's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense." And that goes right into what I was saying as far as, America being destroyed, because this is just what the debt is. It's basically a precursor used to give the other nations ammunition to actually justifiably destroy America or nuke it. Okay, because in other hands, the other nations wouldn't really have any incentive to go to war with America, because America is just a rich country. But because America's in debt, and because it's so far into debt, there's no way of getting out of it. The other nations are gonna, it's gonna come to a point to where the other nations are actually gonna fight America, or gonna, hands on have to destroy America because of this debt. Okay, and on top of that, you can't be in debt and be the ones calling shots. Okay, that's why the Heavenly Father had given nuclear capability to these weaker nations, because that shit that America used to pop back in 1990 whatever, that shit is not happening anymore. Okay, because now these other nations are geared up and they're ready to go to war with America because they have that capability of nuclear missiles. Okay, just like how the scriptures tell you in Joel 3rd chapter, how the weak shall say they're strong. Okay, so it goes on to say, "Babylon had been a golden cup in the Lord's hand, that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad." Okay, and that wine is those riches, because you've had certain nations come here, what have you. You got your Chinese shop over here, your Chinese wig shop, your Chinese chicken over here. You have your Chinese nail shop. Then you have your Elamite shop, your spices and what have you. Then you got your Hamite stores, your jollof rice, your ethnic clothing, and whatever else. And then you also have, these Edomites. They're all over the place, with what they had. So these other nations came here, they profited, and they were able to receive benefits from America and its riches. But then it's gonna suddenly happen to where all that profit is gonna go straight down the drain, because America is gonna be destroyed. It says, "Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her, take balm for her pain, if so be she may be healed." It says, "We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go everyone into his own country, for her judgment reacheth unto heaven and is lifted up even to the skies. Okay. And that's also that debt too, because that's speaking metaphoric and that's speaking physically. Okay. Well, it's technically speaking, metaphoric the whole entire time, because, her sins did reach into the heavens. And on top of that, the debt also is at an all-time high, and I actually did want to show, I think the graph is on there. Yep. See, so back in the 1990s, we were under, I'm not going to say we, but America was under 5 trillion worth of debt. And then you look all the way till today, 2020s, America is in upwards to, $27 trillion worth of debt. And this is an unpayable amount. Okay, you can't take out a loan to another person and just, hey, can you help me with this $28 trillion worth of debt? Nah, it don't work that way, man. Which there's more in this too, but I'm gonna grab this last precept and I'm gonna wrap this up. This is Revelation chapter 18, which I started verse 3. It says, "For all the nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her." It says, "And the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacy." See, that explains how the other nations came here and were able to receive benefits from America. But it says, "And I heard an other voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues." So you also had some of our people who had benefit from America. Okay, but you got to know when to hold them and when to fold them, and that's why the Heavenly Father is telling us, withdraw now. Okay, because our people came here and well, in some cases our people profited too, and in some cases, some of our people are actually super indulgent in this society. But the Heavenly Father is telling us to withdraw now, so that when the time comes to where the Heavenly Father is sending destruction here, we're not a part of that destruction, because of all the iniquity that was here from prior times. Okay. So it goes to say, "For her sins have reached unto heaven, and the Heavenly Father hath remembered her iniquities. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her, double according to her works. In the cup which she hath filled, fill to her double." Okay. So that's really it, man. The heavenly that debt is keep climbing. Even as we speak, the debt is still climbing, and soon the Heavenly Father is going to nullify all of this. All right. But this, like I said, that's one of the main factors that's used, because once America's destroyed economically, it's going to be destroyed physically. That's just what's going to happen. It's going to come right after. Okay. And that's why the Heavenly Father, that's why it didn't happen yet. And it's not happening yet, because when that happens, when America falls physically and it falls financially, that's when Yahweh Shai is coming back. Okay. Because right when America falls, that's when all the other curses upon this world is going to happen. Thermonuclear missiles and what have you, the whole shebang. Okay. So we're just waiting. We're just patiently waiting for the Heavenly Father to destroy this place from inside out. And while we wait, of course, we're calling upon the name of the Heavenly Father when we're casting out our spiritual spells via the right side, via Yahweh Shai Shai, and we're cursing this place, man. And on top of that, we're praying for fewer days and sure destruction to this place, man. So with that, I give all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh Shemel Shabbat Shemikol Kadash Shen Kabag Gawila Rakaza Queen Naba Aith Wa Shalom Wa Barak Mabakarim Shia Shalom Makim. Until next time.